This is for the Washington Economic Summit, Session 3, focusing on upskilling workers for remote work, in demand, and emerging new jobs. This is what I have on the agenda for the next 10 minutes. First of all, talk a little bit about the post-pandemic trends that are going on, look at some of Washington's fastest growing jobs, and what does this mean for employees, and also what does it mean for employers, and then also some lessons that we learned through the pandemic that we can get better from and so on, and just touch briefly on sort of future-proofing your work out there. My name is Charlie Gillette. I'm president and founder of Knowledge Anywhere. We're an IEH company, and Knowledge Anywhere focuses on educating employees, customers remotely, and we're very proud to have educated and trained over 3 million participants around the globe. A few post-pandemic trends, or trends that we're currently faced with, is 42% of Americans will continue to work remotely. And we've seen this in the news of late, of Microsoft announcing of going to a hybrid mode of 50% remote, 50% in the office. Amazon is doing sort of an office-centric environment down the Bay Area. Apple is looking at a 3-day work in the office and 2-day work remote. So this working remote for many workers is here. And that's 36 million folks that will be working remote out there. And also sort of something that has happened through the pandemic is educating and training remotely. So historically, folks flew across the country or went to a training center to get training. That has shifted dramatically. It was already shifting pre-pandemic. It has shifted to approximately 98% of all training in 2020 was online. It will go down to probably 75% in 2021. But it will still be the majority of the way people consume training. But what does that really mean? A couple things out there is 52% of American workforce are considering job changes. This is something to have panic for employers to think about 52% of their workers potentially will leave out there. So there's some lessons that we can look there. 2 out of 3 folks that lost their jobs during the pandemic have switched careers. So there's this huge transition going on. And then also there is a transition from a geographic element that 16 million folks, according to the U.S. Postal Service, moved during the pandemic. And so there are some macro trends of people moving out of the cities, specifically like New York and San Francisco, moving to more rural areas. You look at, this is a study that was from 2019, but the 10 fastest growing jobs in Washington. And you can see where they are. They're in technology and they're in healthcare for the most part. So you look at from a web developer, chiropractic physician, massage therapist, physical therapy aide, hardware engineer, software engineer. So they're in these 2 areas. If you look at this same stat from 2016, it looked dramatically different. So the jobs are shifting in Washington out there. And this was an article in the paper a couple weeks ago, is where have all the waiters gone? On the cusp of reopening, there's a huge labor shortage threatening Washington's restaurants. Obviously, the hospitality industry was hit really hard through the pandemic, and thus many of these workers have changed careers. And we're seeing these in many things. So this is, making it really hard for the restaurants that have been challenged anyway, that they actually don't have enough employees to potentially fully open their doors out there. So what does this mean for employees? First of all, there's a huge opportunity to grow or change careers. There probably could not have been a better time to look for a different job, to go into a different market, and so on. It also shows that need to keep skills relevant. So whether any industry you're in, to keep the skills relevant because things are going to change. Going down to my next bullet point of remaining agile. Needless to say, we hope there's not another pandemic anytime soon, but there's probably a great reminder of staying agile with your skills, what you're ready to do, the need to move, and so on. And then the other thing that's really highlighted is staying connected with your team your community, being networked into other folks out there. So if you do need to move, you have the support of your team members, your community, and so on. And then learn to be successful in a hybrid remote work. And so this is a responsibility of the employers, but a responsibility of employees to be highly successful in this hybrid work environment out there. And then what does it mean for employers? I mean, this battle for talent. I mean, the number of job openings that exist right now in Washington is the highest I think there's ever been in our history. I know it is in the U.S. It also to offer our employees, the room for growth and expansion and so on. The other thing is get creative and staying connected when you're remote with the folks, because we can't see people's eyeballs to see how they're doing, whether they're struggling with something, struggling to come up to speed, struggling with their managers, their teammates, and so on. Of getting creative with being connected, whether that be walking meetings, one-on-ones, daily check-ins, things like that. And thing that probably is really highlighted here is a need to bring employees up to speed quickly and be productive quickly. As you can see here, there's a huge gap in talent and skill, and so with that, of finding a way of bringing them up to speed as quickly as possible. And sad to say, they might not be with the company for decades, like the old days. You might have them for a couple years, and so with that is to be able to support their success, have them add value, and so on. And so sort of some other lessons learned through this is you need to find ways of doing regular video calls and meetings, of have everybody with their video camera on, much like if it was a meeting in person, you would have people be there in person, is to have people show up in person. Do, like I said, weekly updates, one-on-ones, virtual coffee breaks, and so on. And then take advantage of the collaboration tools. I mean, these collaboration tools, like whether it be Teams or Slack, provide really powerful ways of at least staying connected. It still does not take the place of that one-on-one relationship, but it helps people be connected to where can they get help, what resources are available, what projects are people working on. So, looking at taking advantage of these various tools to stay, connected. And then sort of future-proofing jobs is, first of all, looking at the learned skills, whether they be leadership skills, soft skills, mentoring, is to foster those. Offer micro-learning, because the day of a week-long class in person is gone. Probably should have been gone a long time ago, but it's gone for sure now. Whether these be small videos, just-in-time training, quick quizzes, and so on. The other thing is to keep employees engaged through fostering curiosity about their job, about their industry, about what else is happening, staying connected to the company culture. I think that might be one of the more challenging things employers are going to face with, is how to weave everybody into a company culture if they're working remotely out there. And then just maintain adaptable training, adaptable on what folks need, how they're getting the knowledge. Most people are getting informal knowledge through podcasts and other things. So really looking to future-proof jobs going forward. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and look forward to answering any questions you have when we open